and James Dodd share row 1. Neil Smith's Delectable Alfa Romeo and Graham Dodd's Nissan on row 2. Derek Palmer and Max Goff in the BMW M3, the 3rd row. Simon Garrett is on row 4 with his Renault alongside Keith Butcher. Alvin Powell comes next alongside Patrick Watts. And then clothing boss Dan Wheeler is on the 6th row alongside Dave Jarman, who's one of the 2 prime movers along with Johnny Westbrook of this category. Nick Whale, another period racer, is on row 7 with his old Tech-Speed BMW. Kingsley Ingram's Mazda, a car that didn't race in period, comes next ahead of Mark Jones, and then Mark Wright's recreation of Klaus Ludwig's Zack Speed Mark II Escort, Darren Fielding's BMW, and Tom Andrews' Alfa Romeo 155, rebuilt after a crash yesterday. Steve Dimmock's Alfa 156 is a Super 2000 car. Rick Wood's Honda is the El Gabriele Tarquini chassis. Tony Absalom drives the old Anthony Reid. So, rolling start, the lap gets underway. Gosh, it takes you back, this, doesn't it, as the cars work their way down towards Oulton.
It's going to be very hard not to start calling the cars by their period drivers, isn't it?
I'm going to do it, I know it.
Exactly. And that Renault, when I first saw that Renault, the Nescafe Renault Laguna this morning, I hadn't seen that car on track previously, and it just completely took me straight back to the late.
The Alphas went home. And from that weekend for a few days, Toka was referred to as standing for turf out controversial Alphas. But they came back and they won the championship thanks to Gabriele. And he, of course, stayed in the championship and carried on winning for Honda a few seasons later. But there it is, the 155 in the background, coming into shot. It did not look...
Being led round very gently by John Cleland. This could be a clever tactic as they go over the wet part of the track, just to sort of spook his rivals out. Maybe John thinks he's quicker on the cold tyres than his less experienced rivals. He may be in for a shock, who knows?
Well, he's not lost any guile over the years, has he, JC? So up they come, out of Deer Leap, and a snapshot of how touring car racing was in the 1990s is about to get underway. 20 minutes of racing at Oulton Park is go, and John Cleland it is who gets the drop on the opposition, heading down towards Old Hall Corner with up the inside Neil Smith in the Alfa Romeo.
Smith there on lap 1 into Old Hall. He was straight up the inside of James Dodd. Look at Patrick Watts. He's looking for a way through up the inside of...
Down towards Lodge. Now let's have a look at what was going on over at Britain's. Patrick Watts is in the thick of this by the look of it, and locking up is Keith Butcher, who finds the water splash and hopefully avoids everybody. won a few.
In the splitter. Here we are. He was under attack. Is there contact? No, I think Graham just gets out onto the outside of the track with a little bit less grip on it and spins around. Fortunately, without contact with...
That is a car that never raced in periods. The Mazda 323 that was built for Slim Borgood, the former F1 racer and ABBA drummer. Kingsley Ingram has it, and he's attacking Nick Whale in the car that he raced in period, and they almost get themselves together at Cascades.
Mistake of letting his son Harry drive it, and Harry loves it even more. I know what tends to happen here, that Harry will end up actually fitted with a 2.5 litre engine now. That car would have raced in period with a 2 litre. And here's the result.
James Dodd wins the first of 2 Historic Sports Car Club Super Touring races of the weekend from John Cleland and Simon Garrett. 11th, Alvin Powell, now rather dog-eared Mondeo, ahead of Keith Butcher. Mark Wright's recreation of Klaus Ludwig's Escort, Zach Speed car 13th. Kingsley Ingram 14th in the Mazda, going nicely ahead of Nick Whale and Steve Dimmock. Dan Wheeler we saw in the pits, Mark Jones in his pit. And a change in the weather conditions and a delay in the timetable meant that it had to be put to the end of the day, but we're just about ready to go racing. And Kingsley Ingram's Mazda comes next, ahead of Steve Dimmock's Super 2000 Alpha. The car's released onto the warming-up lap here.
In his own car, which is wonderful.
If you're wondering how the Group A cars are allowed in under the championship regulations, Mark Wright's Escort is a very well-driven car, and it's also been drawing a big crowd in the paddock. People still like Mark II Escorts, but these cars that people remember from the Super Touring era, the Hondas, the Renaults, the Nissans that were so successful, and the Alfa Romeo 156 in the background there is a car that never raced in the British Championship but did drive in the European Series. That's an old Stefano Bodner chassis that came from the ETCC that came to Silverstone. Be ready to go, and the front of the grid is James Dodd in the ex-James Thompson Honda, and John Cleland in the ex-John Cleland Vauxhall, one of the first, indeed the very first 888 built Vectra, chassis number 001. The second row of the grid, Simon Garrett in the ex-Jean-Christophe Bouillon Renault, and Derek Palmer in one of Laurent Aiello's cars alongside. Everybody aboard the time machine, out of Deer Leap. The pace car will peel into the pit lane, and the second Super Touring race of the weekend, over 20 minutes, is go.
yesterday. He had a problem in qualifying with a split oil cooler before or oil filter before qualifying.
As well as we have a look at what happened at Oulton on the first lap. Dave, I think they concertinaed in front of Dave Jarman. He had to jig left, didn't he? But no damage done. Gets back onto the circuit, and that's Alpha on Alpha. Steve Dimmock in the S2000 156 got into the side of Tom Andrew, turned him around.
Yeah, fortunately
going on here. Look for third place, heading into Oulton as Neil Smith dives up the inside alongside Graham Dodd. The Alpha's going to be up the inside. Leans on the Nissan, he's all sideways. Neil Smith goes through. Can he hang on to it? He can. Nothing.
Weekend. Here we see, there was contact. Well, that's a shame. That's a shame.
Now look at this battle here, because you have Slim Morgan ahead of Jeff Allen. This is Kingsley Ingram in the 323F Mazda that never raced in period because it was done for a team Magic that then went bust, and it became the subject of a High Court case. But it was built in period in these colours. Kingsley Ingram, a former rallyman, has had it for a number of years in club racing, and Mark Jones, the man from
take his second win of the weekend. Excellent.
James Dodd win, comes over the timing line in 12th place, and a change on the last lap. Jones in the ex-Jeff Allen Cavalier has got himself up past Kingsley, Ingram, and they are going to end the race nose to tail as well. I think everybody can look back on a weekend where they've all enjoyed themselves. They've had some cracking races. Round 4 of the Historic Sports Car Club Super Touring Car Championship, won by James Dodd. Then John Cleland in second place and Stuart White in third. Fourth, Patrick Watts, Neil Smith 5th, and Simon Garrett takes 6th ahead of Graham Dodd. Keith Butcher 8th, Dave Jarman 9th, and then Dan Wheeler rounds out the top 10. Max Goff 11th ahead of Rick Wood. Mark Jones is 13th from Kingsley Ingram, with Tony Absalom, Mark Wright a lap down. Derek Palmer's Nissan faded. Steve Dimmock was in the gravel. Tom Andrews 155 pitted.
Another 2 laps, depending on how generous the race director is feeling.